Hello and welcome. You're watching ET Now. I am Ruchi Bhatia and this is our special show GST The Ground Report. As India comes to term with her new tax regime, we at ET Now, as usual, are at the forefront of the GST coverage. Our team of reporters has travelled extensively across the country to get you the impact of how lives will change post the new tax regime GST on you. Reporters spread across the length and breadth of the nation. Vijay Iyer from Mumbai, Tushar Chakrabarti, Anubhuti Gaur and Arunayal from New Delhi, Rahul Dayama from Bengaluru. And let's first go across to Vijay, and apart from him, Vijay Chris Dos from Chennai and Paul Oman from Hyderabad also joining in. But let me come to you, Vijay, first. It's time now, because remember, as our continuing coverage of GST, a lot of people want to know how life will change for insurance sector, because although insurance sector stands to benefit with the effective tax collection and the new regime coming down, let us know how things are looking up. And in fact, Vijay also did catch up with the CFO of SBI Life Insurance to find out whether policyholders will feel the pinch of higher premiums. Listen in.
Post the rollout of GST on July 1st, insurance policyholders clearly will have to shell out more, with now the insurance policies falling under the 18% bracket. But in real terms, how much an average premium would go up an year for an average policyholders? To understand and to dissect this, we have with us Mr. Sarangi, who's the CFO of SBI Life Insurance, one of country's largest life insurer players. Mr. Sarangi, if you could quickly explain, for an average policyholders from 15 to 18%, so for an per annum basis, how much is that they'll have to shell out more?
Overall, it is a win-win for the customer as well as the corporates. Having said that, the customers need to pay a marginally incremental premium. However, that will be offset against the tax deduction which the customer will get under Section 80C. So overall, I think it will not have much impact as far as the customer's insurance premium is concerned.
Mr. Sarangi, if you could quickly touch upon, does this mean, say, if you take a term plan or an ULIP or, say, for example, a medical health insurance, for all the three, more or less, as you are saying, it would be negated, and if at all there's an increase, it would be negligible over a, say, period of tenure of an average policyholder?
Absolutely, because I think initially it might have some hiccups, but over a period of 3 to 5 years, if you see, I think it will rationalize as far as the customer is concerned to the extent of life, non-life, as well as the medical.
Okay. So as Mr. Sarangi, the CFO of SBI Life Insurance, explains, over a period of time, an average policyholder like you and me perhaps will have to shell out more, but clearly when you look at it from a tax perspective, it's going to be a win-win situation.
All right, from the tax perspective, it's going to be a win-win situation, but looks like you will have to pay a higher premium now on your insurance policies. But the government is going all out to reach to the traders and clarify on various misconceptions related to GST. Arun Nayal was at Talkatora Stadium, where Finance Minister Arun Jaitley today spoke to traders on the goods and services tax. Arun, was FM able to soothe the traders?
Finance Minister Arun Jaitley addressed a gathering of traders in the national capital today, and he tried to dispel fears that the community has over the goods and services tax. He began his speech by talking about how historic and important this goods and services tax is for the country, and how BJP managed to create a consensus amongst all states and union territories to get this legislation passed, as well as saying that the Congress also had this opportunity to pass this bill, but it could not, because it could not create the consensus which the BJP and the Narendra Modi government brought about for passing off the goods and services tax. Now, he also said that it is beneficial for traders. They are going to benefit from GST because the prices in future are going to go down. They would not have to pay tax on tax, and asked them that the fears that they are confounded fears are unnecessary, and they should not listen to them and take this message forward, that this GST is going to generate more employment and also would lead to better growth opportunities in the future. And he has asked the traders to tell more people about it and promote goods and services tax to be making more traders compliant of it. With camera person Prashant Chaudhary, Arun Nayal for ET Now.
While the government is trying to reach out to traders, looks like there's one industry that's still trying to grapple with the revised MRP guidelines, and that is the pre-packaged food industry that is still figuring out how things will change for them once the new taxation structure comes under GST. Tushar Chakrabarti is joining in with more details. Tushar.
Well, the rollout of the GST has brought in a new set of challenges for the FMCG companies. The FMCG companies believe that the new MRP guidelines by the government, which mandates all the companies to paste new stickers reflecting the change in MRP after GST, is a rather cumbersome and a confusing project, and they believe that it is quite next to impossible to completely do the same. The FMCG companies feel that it is very difficult to reach their wide array of distributors and individually label each of the packets that they have to reflect the change in MRP. The companies also believe that these new stickers can be tampered with, and hence there is a question of safety that comes in here. The companies believe that they might as well have to redesign the packaging to take care of the issue, and they'd rather release new stock than to relabel old stock to reflect the change in prices. However, the FMCG sector, especially the packaged goods industry, the taxation of the industry is good news for the consumers under GST. Most of the goods under this category have been put under the 5% tax slab, while a few of them, such as biscuits, which are under the 18% tax slab, as well as namkeen and packaged dry foods, which are under the 12% slab. The entire taxation regime under the GST for packaged goods is in line with the government's FDI push, the government's push to increase FDI in this sector and increase foreign investment in the retail chain.
All right, as far as the FMCG sector goes, they are still trying to figure out how should the MRP guidelines be reworked at and relooked at, and that is going to be a little bit of a concern. That's a word coming in from a lot of the dealers we spoke to. But as every sector is trying to gauge the impact of the new goods and services tax, the cosmetics industry has been placed under the 28% tax slab. But does that mean that you and I will have to pay higher for our cosmetics now? Anubhuti Gaur with this report.
Well, we are 6 days into the new goods and services tax, and we will tell you what will be its impact on the cosmetics sector. So we are standing right outside the beauty salons and cosmetics outlets, and we pick up from here that the prices are set to increase. We remember that cosmetics have been put under 28% tax slab. So all the store managers that we spoke to are saying that it is expected the prices are set to increase. So all those customers and consumers who are fond of cosmetics will have to shell out more. But at the moment, most of the brands such as L'Oreal Paris, Lakme and Chambord are offering discounts up to 30%. So consumers can continue to avail all those discounts at the moment, but within a few weeks they will have to pay the increased price. And also the salons will be hiking their price on the services, beauty services that they will be providing. So the sector will have to bear with the new price tag, which will be more than what they have been paying so far.
All right, the sector will have to brace for the new price tag, and looks like it will be passed on to the consumers itself. But let's take you now across to Bengaluru. What happens to your cab bills under the GST regime? And that is surely going to interest you if you take an Ola or an Uber a lot. Rahul Dayama is standing by to take us through the impact of GST on cab aggregators. Rahul, any good news there?
Good news for Ola and Uber users like you and me, because the tax is down by 1% and the cab aggregators have already started passing on the benefit. So if you look at your cab bills closely, you will notice that the tax is now under the lowest bracket of 5%. But the big pain really has come in for the drivers. Remember, a lot of these drivers lease out cabs from cab aggregators and third-party agents and pay monthly EMIs in return. What has now happened is this has come under the tax bracket of more than 28%. Due to double taxation, it will be taxed between 29 to 43% depending on which car that they own. So their EMIs will be up by over £1 lakh per annum. That's a massive hike due to double taxation that the drivers will have to bear. I've been talking to a whole bunch of drivers who tell me they'll be forced to move out from these cab aggregators because the incentives are down, and now with this double taxation whammy coming in, they wouldn't really be left with more of an option. really, to put it in simple terms, good news for Ola and Uber riders, but for drivers, it's a big setback.
Good news for the riders, but for the people who own these cabs, the drivers, looks like they will have to pay more for their leased vehicles. But let's go across to Tamil Nadu. Seems like there is good news coming in for cinema goers. The theatre owners and distributors have finally called off their strike. Theatre owners were on an indefinite strike demanding withdrawal of 30% local body tax on movie tickets. For more details, we're joined by Vijay Christos. Vijay, what are you picking up?
Well, it's a huge relief for theatre owners. The local municipal tax of 30% over and above the GST on movie tickets has been put on hold as of now, after the Tamil Nadu government had constituted a small committee, after it was raked up in the assembly earlier today by opposition leaders, asking to, because they mentioned about the kind of losses that would happen for the film industry over here, the kind of livelihood that it would be hitting, because of this 28% plus the 30% local municipal tax. So the film fraternity and Tamil Nadu government officials, along with the chief secretary, were in talks for the third day in running. The movie screenings were shut for the fourth day in running. So finally the strike has been called off. From tomorrow onwards, movie halls across Tamil Nadu will screen movies. The films will go on from tomorrow. And let's not forget, it's the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a huge day for theatres. So probably the losses would have been even more bigger. There would have been even more mammoth losses in terms of numbers, in terms of money, in terms of revenue. As far as the weekend is concerned, they've already incurred many. They've already incurred a huge loss in the last 4 days because there has not been any screenings across Tamil Nadu. More than 1,000 theatres across the state, single screen and multiplex as well. But right now, we've been told, the producers are telling us that, the 30% being taken off is a huge relief. The breakdown is any ticket that is 100 rupees and below that, there will be 18%. Any ticket above 100 rupees, that is till to 120 rupees, that would be levied at 28% of GST, but there will not be any local municipal tax, that is the 30%, and that is what the Producers Council were protesting, and finally they've been put on hold. Whether it would be reviewed, curtailed further on is something that we need to wait and watch. The committee will let us know, but as of now, the 30% local tax will not be applied on movie tickets in Chennai, just like the neighboring southern states, and it's a massive relief for the Producers Council, the theatre owners, and also not just that, it's a massive relief for the fans and the quintessential movie buff as well. For finally during the weekend, they can go and watch their favorite movies, and the movie halls will be open while the strike has been called off.
So if you're a movie buff in Chennai, there's certainly good news coming in your way. But let's take it across to Hyderabad now. Paul Oman joining in. Paul, it's raining discounts on the automobile segment post GST implementation. Are people flocking to showrooms to book their dream cars now?
Well, the GST rollout has good news for all those who are planning to buy bikes and cars. Several companies have actually slashed the prices of their automobiles. In fact, for bikes you're getting discounts from 1,500 to 3,000 rupees, whereas in cars, especially for the small segment and medium segment cars, you're getting discounts from 5,000 to 15,000 rupees. And luxury cars are also getting a lot of discounts ever since the GST rollout happened. There is only one particular segment of cars, which is the hybrid cars, that have seen a substantial rise in their prices. Now the big question that we are asking is, does not India want to move towards greener mobility?
All right, our team of reporters there, Paul, Vijay, Rahul, Anubhuti, Tushar, Arun, many thanks for joining in. Our team of reporters, as usual, getting in ground reports for how life will change for various sectors, and of course you post the GST implementation. But even as the country grapples with the new tax regime, the opposition has hit out strongly at the biggest tax reform India has ever seen. Former Finance Minister and senior Congress leader P. Chidambaram said that the rollout should have been deferred by at least 2 months, and the GSTN should have conducted a trial run instead of a rollout riddled with errors. Let's listen in.
We are convinced that the administration and businesses, especially small and medium businesses, are unprepared or underprepared for the rollout of GST. Businesses wanted some more time, and the rollout should have been deferred by 2 months. The GSTN should have been put through a trial run and the glitches of any removed. The numerous requests for rationalization of rates should have been addressed. Businesses should have been given time to familiarize themselves with the task of filing 3 returns every month. The special problems of multi-state businesses should have been resolved.
In fact, former Infosys CFO and venture capital investor V. Balakrishnan is critical about GST in its current form, stating that this is just a retrofit of the old tax system and is even more complicated. He also asserted that the gains of GST are highly exaggerated. He spoke to ET Now's Chandra Srikanth in Bengaluru. Let's listen in.
GST is a very good step forward. One nation, one tax is a dream for any economy to have. And second, use of technology for tax compliance is good. But if you look at the complexities of the existing tax system, that is to some extent carry forward in the new GST ecosystem. One of the main reasons people implement GST is to remove all the classification issues. That is going to continue in the current regime because you have multiple tax rates, every industry is going and lobbying for a preferential tax rate. Second, litigations are going to continue. The whole litigation in the earlier regime is all about classification. That is not going to go away in the current thing, right? And third, you have multiple tax rates. Normally, GST is one rate for the whole nation. Here you have some 4 or 5 rates, and after that you have the cess and other stuff. So it is complicated. It is just a retrofit of the existing tax system into a new tax system. But having said that, it's a good first step. Probably in the next few years, the government should work with all the states to reduce the tax rates to 1 or 2 and reduce all the complications on the classification.
But so you think we should have waited for a simpler GST instead of, meeting this July 1st deadline at any cost with 5 categories, including the exempt category? Would it help to have waited, or is there only so much that you can do in a political economy where you also have to satisfy various states, various causes? You think it's a utopian concept to think that a simple GST will be a possibility?
No, in a democracy, the change is always difficult. That too, in a federal structure like India, where there are a lot of push and pull between the center and state. Ideal GST is a dream. We all waited for 10 years, right? Nothing has happened. At least they moved forward now. It is a good step. I think over the next few years, the central government should actually work with the states and reduce the complexity. Because I don't know whether it is very important for us to wait and get an ideal GST and do, because that may not happen also. At least they have done a first step. It's a good step, but they have to refine that and make it a better step.
And since we were talking about the auto sector, remember GST is a landmark move, but it would dwell well for the future if the tax on hybrid vehicles were also brought down. And that's a word coming in from Maruti Suzuki's RS Kalsi in an exclusive chat with ET Now's Tushar Chakrabarti. Kalsi said that they have requested the government to reconsider the taxation structure for hybrid vehicles, and also said that the industry would see an increase in sales as a result of the tax benefits now being passed on to the consumers. Let's listen in.
Certain benefits came through reduced taxes, so up to 3% reduction that happened on the tax. We passed it on to the customers on first itself, and all these factors put together certainly will give positive vibes in the marketplace.
So you've said that you've given several benefits to the consumers. Do you think that in the coming months there will be an uptick in auto sales?
Well, auto industry is always a price sensitive industry, and we are hopeful that it should give some positive impact in the market demand.
One problematic issue for the dealers especially have been how to deal with the old inventory. So what kind of support is Maruti providing to its dealers?
Well, we are compensating our dealers appropriately, whatever old inventory is there.
Hybrid cars is something that the auto industry have been quite loudly saying that the tax should come down, but the taxes were not revised before the GST rolled out. Do you expect the taxes to be lowered now that the GST is out, and will you be making further representations to the government?
Well, in line with the vision and mission of the government, towards electric vehicle, mobility. Hybrid is one of the steps in that direction. So certainly it's a bridge that step by step from hybrid we have to move towards electric vehicles, and till the infrastructure comes, electric vehicles require special infrastructure, while hybrid vehicles do not require that kind of infrastructure. They worked in tandem using the liquid fuels as well. So we have made a request to the government all over the world. Hybrid vehicles are given concessional duty. So we have made our request, and we are hopeful that they would consider it.
Let's get you another voice from the auto sector, and now Eminem's top boss Pawan Goenka hailed the iconic GST rollout, and talking at the media con call, Goenka said that the auto giant saw a smooth transition to GST and the government is proactively resolving all the issues. He in fact also further hinted at price reduction going forward. Let's listen in.
Right now, the inventory level at the dealerships are lower than what the norm is for the industry. So there will be an inventory refill that will happen in the month of July and maybe even month of August. And then we have the festive month of September, October. And therefore, in the short term, I certainly see positive growth. Positive in the sense that more growth than what one would have otherwise had as a result of GST downstocking that has happened. And beyond that, given that the prices have been reduced and almost everybody has announced price reduction of the order that I have talked about for Mahindra, given that large price reduction has happened, that clearly should bode